Hi everyone, Christina Dozier, Realtor here, coming at you with Jim Hare because I just found out that there have been some loan adjustments effective immediately. So I wanted to make sure I was sharing it with you so it's something you can keep in mind if you are planning to buy a home this year. And I'm going to be checking my notes as I tell you guys about this. So the Fed has just come out and said that they are changing loan level pricing adjustments for all conventional conforming loans. So these are fees that are going to be charged by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac on these loans. Before, if you had a credit score of less than 740, you would be charged a certain fee to borrow this money. That fee would be part of your closing costs. So if you were putting 20% down, it would have been 0.5%, 10% down, 0.25%, 5% down, 0.25%. That has changed, and it changes depending on your credit score, and there are several ranges that has changed for. The Fed has really gone out of its way to make sure that those fees are remaining affordable, especially for the ranges of people with lower credit, in an attempt to make housing more affordable for people who may have struggled the most in purchasing a house with the crazy seller's market over this past year. For everyone else, if your credit score is over 780, now that fee will be lower than before because you're being recognized as being the most responsible with money. 20% down, 0.375% at closing, and then it comes down to 0.25% if you're putting down 10% or even 5%, because they are recognizing then that perhaps you have less cash to put down in the first place. For credit scores of 760 to 790, it's going to be 0.625% at 20% down, and then come down to 0.5% if you're putting down 10% or 5%. If you have a credit in the range of 740 to 759, that is going to be the biggest change in this fee. So you guys are going to want to make sure that you keep this in mind when you're preparing to bring cash to that closing table when you purchase your home. If you're putting 20% down, you're going to pay 0.875%. So that is almost a percentage point in closing costs that you're going to make sure that you need to calculate and plan for when you're bringing that cash to close. It's 0.75% if you're putting 10% down, and then 0.625% if you're putting 5% down. So how this works, just to give you an example of how much it would cost and how much money you would be bringing. If you have a 740 credit score and you're buying a $300,000 home and you're putting down 5%, you're going to be paying $1,068 more in closing fees than you would have before, or you're going to end up having to pay a higher rate instead, which essentially is going to have you paying these additional fees out over time, over the course of your mortgage. I'm sure this sounds really confusing. It is a lot to process and keep in mind. That is why you always want to make sure you have a realtor who is paying attention to these details and keeping you up on these details so they can make sure that they're keeping it in mind for you, and they are helping work all of the numbers and all the pieces of the puzzle to get you into a purchasing situation that is going to work for your schedule, for your budget, and for how much cash you have to close, as well as with your personal credit score. My name is Christina Dozier. If you have any questions, shoot me a message. I'd be happy to help.